what's up, GH? Welcome to MX Beats, your official entertainment and lifestyle home. And every single week, we're bringing you your favorite artists. Say cheese, take a picture, shake a pose, make a see, take a picture.
What's the name?
Indeed, we also bring you exclusives in music videos, interviews. Honestly, we have got you covered right here on MX Beats. Who is this?
Okay.
Oh, I love this.
I think I know what this is. This is an OG. This guy is not even a footballer. Look what he's
What did I say? They like vintage. What did I say? RJZ, baby.
On this show, we help unearth new talent, write the right mix of music to boost your energy.
Big man, big things, yeah. Tins, still shoes, big things, yeah. You figure say we they come joke me as I they come, my mind was plenty.
My name is Jason Elay.
My name
All right, so day 2, Charlie, the thing make hot. Yesterday we come and they tell you people, say, listen, the thing has now become a palpable obinium. So, and look, the people I bring today, it will be some type of thing. So, special edition, politics over pizza. We're covering the elections as the results are coming in. We talk them the way young people they see them. Like, too many things have happened today. So I brought my favorite people. Ojam, Master English is here. Julius. Good to have you. D. Wait, somebody is missing. Where is she?
She should be coming. I was texting her.
Have you guys missed me?
Hey, madam. You're not playing.
Miss me. How do I look though?
No, hey. But what are you talking? Is it that you are ready for some solo coup, some post solo coup?
I had to order for the pizza.
Well, yeah, we needed that.
Yes.
We really needed that. And you know, I can't say no. But please understand, I have seen it. Did you do yourself?
She's in my favorite color, though.
Hey, jam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Is it party winning or something?
Is that your pickup line?
Oh, that's our pickup line.
Charlie, how has it been? How are you monitoring that thing? The results they come in. How are you seeing it so far?
Very tight. Very tight. By now, everyone is scared. You understand?
Everyone is very comfortable.
Everybody is a comfortable lead. And I think we've seen that before. 4 years ago, everybody came up and they declared victory. Today, we have seen that the NDC has organized and they have declared victory. MPP has declared victory. I'll be reading some of the tweets. The opposition leader has tweeted something, and we have seen other heavy people also tweet some kind of things. But so far, how have you felt about the entire process? Just how the EC has handled stuff?
I think it's been very peaceful and very successful to an extent, because when you look at the process, there's been very low incidents. In terms of security, we had that in almost every polling station. We didn't have so much of the snatching, and well, we recorded some incidents. Some people, one person at least has lost his life as a result of this. But to a very large extent, especially during the process of voting, it was largely peaceful.
Okay.
Largely peaceful.
Julius, how has it been for you?
Yeah, I think I share similar opinions. It's been a very peaceful process and one of the fastest processes we've seen so far. You go within 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, you have voted.
For me, it was like 5 minutes.
Except for the coalitions at this point where we don't know whether the EC has gathered results at the regional levels and all those things. That's the only problem I find with the process so far. By now, we should know regionally which party is winning this region, which party is winning this or that region. We haven't gotten that, but I don't know if the EC has mechanisms in place. So let's wait for them
And see.
to see.
Dominic.
Especially for me as a an emerging democracy, Ghana has once again proved itself as one of the most stable democratic institutions or countries in the world. And particularly, it's been relatively peaceful, besides the small pockets of violence.
Yeah.
And particularly also because, it's a COVID-19 era, everybody was quite anticipating how the elections is going to be like. And I think the EC chairperson has actually proved herself very, very, very instrumental in this year's election. Yeah.
So now, what does that mean for women? To have a woman lead the EC and see this kind of seamless thing where it happen. What does that mean for Chichi?
I think it's beautiful. It's very beautiful to see women lead. But I don't want us to just limit the conversation to her gender. She has the skills.
Yeah.
She has the leadership skills. She has the competence.
Yeah.
We saw that with the previous electoral commissioner, although she's no more there. But it's more of her skills, more of what she has to offer than just her gender for me.
Yeah. And
Please,
then
let me...
moving.
Please, feel free. I don't suspect that your party is in a comfortable lead. The way you gas,
Are you in a
are you in a comfortable lead?
Please.
Are you in a comfortable? Are you winning?
Both parties are in a comfortable
Maybe she
So
wants to eat
whichever
now.
way...
Talking about women and what Jean Benson's role in the election plays. Do you see the women who are winning very big seats? Very, very significant seats are being taken by women. The NDC's very Ketu South has been taken by Jifa Ablaguma.
Yes.
Who is the MP-elect for that constituency. And some other areas, if you see...
I think Zanato has also won.
Yes, Zanato has won
Zanato has
re-election.
won.
Don't forget Ma Lydia in this constituency.
In this
That result is with that particular one, that's a whole look. I think that two things happened during this election. So there was the Champions League's final between the MPP and the NDC, and then there was El Clasico happening between Mama Lydia and John Domelo. And as of now, the last thing I saw just before we came on the show was that John has asked for a recount. What do you think about that?
For the issues of the recounts, we have several constituencies where recounts have changed the outcomes of the
Elections,
if you look at Ebuakwa North, recently there has been a recount, and then it's gone back to the MPP.
Okay.
And then I don't know if the same thing can happen in Ayawaso West Wagon, where the gap is over 1,000.
No, maybe 2,000. I think about 2,000.
2,000.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would happen, but let's see what it brings.
The argument has been that Ayawaso West Wogon is an NPP seat. And also another theory that I've come across on social media is that the Legon students, if they had voted, if school had been in session, the seat would have automatically gone to Lydia, and the margin would have actually
People
been bigger.
actually think it would have gone to John Domelo.
Some people feel that John Dumelo has tapped into the youth base of the late Ejakun. Unlike Ma Lydia, John has that, so he could appeal to the student. But then one thing you should also take note of is that on campus, majority of the student leadership side with and Ma Lydia, and even ahead of the election, you would see endorsements being made by them for Lydia. So it's a factor that could only be tested if that
it actually happens. But why didn't the students show up though? I have somebody who has made the argument, that Yenfa students in your politics. And this was the argument. The argument is that how many people on campus actually vote in the Ayawaso West? I mean, the Ayawaso constituency, the Wagon constituency. So
if they are in school, they actually register and vote.
But I think we knew that they might not be in school.
So they didn't actually register there.
But then, they did busing and all those things. So, I mean, any serious candidate would have bussed
people,
who are his stronghold to come and register and
We're
vote.
talking about students who live in various regions, different areas. So you don't expect me to live in maybe in the Ashanti region or Volta region and go all the way to come and vote or even come and register. So that plays a significant role. Students won't come all the way from wherever they are just to come in. Even if I'm a Kaswa and come just...
Am I not?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that played a role. It's COVID-19, students are away from campus. But I think the youthfulness of John Dumelo played a role.
Okay.
And also...
His fame?
His fame as well.
Okay.
Because did you see the video of him pushing track? You saw a video of him hugging people. Charlie.
The guy has pounded fufu, braided hair.
The legendary Kaba and Slit water issue.
And
all those issues.
The swimmings.
You understand?
No, but I think he pulled a very good competition.
No, I think he did. I think for a first time, everybody is giving that to him.
But you know, there's something very curious about the results. Okay, over the years, the MPP candidate for Ayawaso West Wogon would usually gap the NDC's candidate
by
very significantly,
yeah.
Especially on campuses, Gimpa, Legon, and the others. But this year, we saw John won Gimpa.
Yeah,
and he won even some of the halls on Legon.
Yes,
and you see a certain trend in the town that has repeated. NDC wins the townships all
Yeah,
across
yeah,
from
yeah.
Abelempe all the way down. What I don't understand actually is a situation where John Mahama performs more than John Dumelo in the townships. Yes. Okay. It's so surprising, and I don't know if I don't know the implication. I really so let's see the recount and
It's
what
more
happens.
of the skirt and blouse thing. Lots of people are doing skirt and blouse.
The whole flip.
But skirt and blouse in an MPP constituency where it goes to John Mahama more than it goes to John Dumelo, who is the parliamentary candidate. Do you get it? A strong MPP constituency and a skirt and blouse situation, and then the vote
should
all
all go
to John Dramani Mahama instead of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. You see, it doesn't
I
sync
think
well with me.
voters are becoming more discerning. Voters are not as blind as they probably were. I don't have to be MPP and then vote for both Nana Addo and then Mali.
Necessarily, yes.
So I could vote for MPP, I could vote for NDC, both of them at the same time.
I mean, to cut into what Julius was saying, I think it's not so much of a new trend where you find the presidential candidate outperforming the parliamentary candidate.
We've seen that before.
We've seen that happen in a number of constituencies.
It's a new trend. But the interesting factor is because of the nature of the constituency. If it's entrenchedly MPP and for some reason people want to vote for John Dumelo, then we see that, okay, it's because of John Dumelo's fame, his youthfulness, and all those other factors. But why do we have a situation where
it is? So that we don't focus too much on one constituency. There's an interesting one that a lot of young people are talking about, and that is the seat of Honorable Kennedy Ejapon.
Okay.
Right now they are saying that the man, unless them beggar, unless he gets up and says, Ataya.
He's the Mugabe of Ghana.
Take
but
up.
according to himself, he won't be running in 2024.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's what he has said.
Yeah, he said.
How do you think his very? I think that he appeals mostly to young people as well. Generally, do you think that has played a role in how he's been positioned in his constituency? Because it's far removed from the kind of applause that he gets on social media. He's very, very popular on social media for somebody who is not on social media. How much does that appeal to young people? And generally in this election, how have we as young people influenced the way things are happening overall?
Well, I think that young people influence the election very much because even if you look at the voter roll, young people form more than of the voter roll. So when the outcomes are coming, you should know that a lot of youthful people voted in the process. And if the same situation is what is in Asin, then you realize it's very youthful people who endorse Kennedy Ejapon. And rumors say that the chiefs there like him a lot. That when he decided he won't run in 2016, they had to bring him
and say,
to
please come
and contest again. So he has his fan base both in the young group and then the older
generation as well.
Yes. I think he's feeding off of the youthfulness of the NPP's policies. He's feeding off of the kind of usefulness that NPP's policy reeks of, the free SHS, etc. And particularly so I know a number of people who like him because of his brutal honesty on social media.
And that's very true.
People like how blunt
he is. It is not characteristic of politicians.
Because the way he could turn against his party,
and also, then come here.
Exactly. So I think that is what people appreciate of him. So the fact that you're a politician doesn't mean you should just be myopic or you should just be one-sided. The fact you have to tell when your party or whatever is not doing the right thing, and I think that's what people admire about him.
I'm curious about something to moving away from Kennedy Ejapon. The results are very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, ordinarily, all the elections we've had from the past, if someone wins Greater Accra region, we should call the election for the person already.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this year, we have a situation where the NDC is leading in Greater Accra, but still isn't the apparent winner of the election. As of now.
By provisional results. And it's like so many things have shifted.
Yes, a lot of things have changed in this election. And I've been wondering if it is because of the policy implementations Nanado undertook, or if it's because GM didn't campaign, which is supposed to be his region. And the NDC lost quite a number of
yes, some very good ones.
And then now they are not performing as they should have performed over there. And that loss is what is accounting for the gap in them not winning at this point in time. Because if you win Greater Accra and you had maintained that area, they should have won the election right now.
But
this election, the results have just been too close.
Look, when we come back, there's a tweet I want us to examine. I want us to look at policies and how young people are voting according to policies, but also most importantly, if person A or B or C wins, what would that mean for young people? Goom is pulling up a surprise. When we come back, we'll talk about Goom. Quick commercial break. Politics over pizza. I'm hanging out with my people eating pizza. Go grab your pizza, get a drink, and let's hear what you think. We're back after this short commercial break.
In this year's Samsung End of Year promotion, will make your Christmas entertainment come alive with satellite TV starting from as low as 899 Ghana cedis, 55-inch UHD Smart TV for 3,999, and a immersive QLED going for 7,499. Make it a Samsung-powered Christmas with our AC starting from 1,899 Ghana cedis and so much more. Now, walk into any Samsung showroom or authorized reseller today. Samsung. A good Christmas is no longer a wish.
Shop online, get free swipes, and enjoy greater security with a card that turns banking on its head. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Hello, viewers. I'm feeling very frustrated and bored in Sambulai. I'm very happy. If you don't understand, don't worry, because myself, I don't understand. In this addition, Vodafone Ghana has now made it possible to send money from Vodafone Cash to all network free. We will cross over to our senior reporter for more details.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing in front downtown. You know, I'm learning to make a vlog. I'm not funny as you said. Vodafone, I'm not quite said. Ultimate Senesika do Topia, Emily do Topia. Echo all the network. I will check up there. With TC Montezo, Diamond Falcon.
Fifia, Matendo says, don't you put charges, Manome. Two, you bro, charges on your wumlo, at the Hamonyo. A beer says, do the ha, charges or Clandan.
Hanning and you may fend on me. Instead, I'm a charges, no charges. I met G. Naka charges, when we know, Mania Cafe BP. Oh, and if Vodafone,
For me, I do a lot of online transactions. I think I see it. See, the excitement for me is that I get to save a lot on Vodafone Cash.
Please put me down.
I'm so excited. I can now send money to all networks without any charges.
Me ye jediniba. A bribia says me chia meduma e foka no. Sika me chia se charges no. E do so do. Nanso say dear. Me da Vodafone Cash.
Sending money on Vodafone Cash to all networks is now free. Send any amount of money as many times as you like to all networks for free. Dial *110# now to send money.
Any amount for Masumo. Studio 2. Put him in car. And yeah, Musomame.
This is the red news. Apologize.
The future is exciting. Ready?
All over the world, young people like you and I are making great change.
3 presidents are going to this ungrateful party.
My cousin here wants power, but he doesn't want to get his hands dirty.
Your campaign has been saddled with a lot of issues and it won't survive another scandal.
Is there something I should know? I want to know Anagona.
He's only doing something we're all afraid to do.
Anaba, so what kind of lessons are we putting out there for our youngsters?
Most of us don't even know what we want until it hits us in the face.
Every single time he comes around, she just turns into this emotional, wishy-washy, love-struck thing.
That is exactly what she needs.
You're president for 8 years. You make me president for another 8. You rule for 16 years.
Charlie, but why this guy? Why you mean the Christmas like that? See your Christmas tree. Only you see your Christmas tree.
My party will win, so I start the enjoyment.
Women will start to come around soon.
So they prepare for them. But I will go. It be competition. When they come to your house, every day when they come to my house,
sure.
I know they wear. I did normal. Why would they house? They wear shoe.
I think he's expecting a visitor.
They show you your house in my house, they be so. If I don't spec my body, how you go pet?
No, but your house they speak for you. So maybe like in party,
It won't show you this.
Maybe he also has a date, probably.
It's very no.
Probably with you.
I've told you, see, these two people, something.
And you see how she took time to make up because she's coming.
How should they come?
My bias towards the woman has not been disputed.
No, we know already. We know. We are aware.
Thank you.
It's for Mimi. We have seen it with Mimi. We've seen it with Dede. So you all the girls and they want to circle inside. Only
You want claim or
one person. Please, I beg Goom. Goom is surprising everybody. No, look, I'm proud. I'm proud of him. Look, I'm really, really proud of him because I don't think. I think the last time I saw some numbers, now you get like 70,000.
Yeah.
I don't think there are 70,000 people in the church.
He's outperformed CPP.
Yes.
So they've actually gotten the most electric shock.
Exactly, because I think they are becoming the third force.
We'll talk about Kuma's party.
They are becoming the third force.
Yes.
And we expected CPP to have pulled that because we have Goom is riding on the concept CPP has. That Nkrumah.
I mean, he showed a lot of Nkrumah videos.
Exactly.
Very well.
He's been a very strong Nkrumah person.
Yeah.
And sort of shows the virtues of Nkrumah and hopes to do the same things Nkrumah did. So he's leveraging on what Nkrumah did than even CPP. And that's what's shocking to me.
CPP's whole campaign was about giving electric shock.
I'm like, geez.
Nkrumah gave the electricity by building dams. That's shocking us.
But honestly, have you come across the meme that speaks about how Goom was shocked? About how costly it was to come out
with the Nkrumah videos. And you people are not voting
numbers.
He actually tweeted that himself.
No, he didn't. Somebody created a parody account, right? But there's one that I really like that says that so you people so you do. From now on, oil. Not oil is now 5,000.
Yeah. But I think the CPP thing, the comic, I don't know, what was it about?
No, look,
it didn't make so much sense to me at all. I don't
know if it was intentional that they wanted to humor us. I think that generally that was like a strategy. Yeah, it was a real strategy.
It did not work. It did not work because the message you're telling people, you're sending across to people is you're not so much of a serious party.
Exactly.
And you are taking things lightly. We need serious people. You don't have to be there.
Myself, I was expecting a recovery for the CPP. At least, if not their presidential candidate making tremendous waves, the parliamentary candidates. At least if we have one of them winning these seats that have been taken away, it would have been better. But the situation we are seeing is just MPP switching seats all over the place, and the CPP and others are not.
They are not part.
The CPP could have sold themselves more, especially when there was a banter between the NPP and NDC over corruption and free SHS. They should have taken advantage of
for them to shine.
Exactly.
I think they need to come again.
How many times should they come?
No,
Charlie?
in terms of they rebranding their sort of campaign message and how they want to come.
No, but as young people though, I feel say if you know pass NDC or MPP. It won't work. Or you think there's a day
it could have been possible if there was a level of seriousness. I mean, Nkrumah, this is Nkrumah's party we are talking about.
Yeah.
They could rekindle
that spirit.
Yes, of Nkrumah. And
you are talking too much.
but look, Chichi, he say make it care about time. See, jealousy go kill you. Your party go lose. Listen, but for me, right, I think Ndum tried.
Yeah, he did.
He really did try.
He did.
He brought a very compelling message. His strategy was strong. Whatever this man go talk, he go talk. We don't mind him.
But at least he
But
did
he
better.
was
He
the
managed
third
to
force.
take elections to runoffs. You see, if Indum was in this election, by now there should be no confusion as to who is winning or not.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we all
yeah.
know we are going back on the 20th to vote again.
Yeah.
But Ivor Green Street is not doing the same thing.
But we have
Is it a candidate?
But we have the PPP
Yeah, Ivor Green Street is a
candidate,
candidate.
who is a lady,
Yeah.
Bridget Jogbenuku.
Yeah.
I think what probably didn't work for her is her posture, her personality was not as strong as Ndum's
I
own.
think she's quite new to the political terrain.
She was his vice presidential candidate.
Candidate, okay.
So I won't say she's that new, but I think their campaigning wasn't strong.
Too strong. I didn't even hear their message.
Exactly.
And I'm a typical young person. I didn't hear their message, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I honestly, guys, I don't think Ghana is really ready for a third force. The whole system is so bipartisan.
Yeah.
And even those potential third forces we could have had are pulling off mediocre, quote-unquote, campaigns.
Exactly.
Very.
So definitely we will not take them
No,
serious.
I don't think Ghana is not ready for a third force. I think a lot of people, you hear them say they're tired of the MPP, they're tired of the MPP.
So why not vote for the alternative?
But they, you see, we have 12, and so 10 alternatives. And these 10 alternatives haven't proven themselves worthy enough.
Okay.
They haven't sent a very strong message.
Message.
And some are even saying if these 10 people can come together as one,
It might help.
it might help.
Because the other thing too is, as a young person, I'm going to think about the thing, say, if I go throw my vote to CPP, how many other people are coming with me? I will waste the vote.
Exactly.
So I might as well choose the lesser of two
And you know,
evils.
sometimes if you are voting for a candidate, you are not only voting for that candidate, you are looking at who that candidate is likely to bring along into the government.
Yes.
There are people we don't even know.
We don't know their
working
people.
with them.
We don't
and all
know
those things. Their PCs are not serious on the grounds and all those things. Like we don't see anything at all.
Let me read a tweet. This was 2 hours ago.
Okay.
We did Twitter. We did watch what they do. You understand? As young people, we that where we pick everything from. So this is from John Dramani Mahama's page. He says, "Thank you for voting for change and giving the NDC a working majority in the next parliament. Thank you, Ghana." Now, a lot of people are saying, "Thank you for conceding." Look, the trend on Twitter.
You know, it's quite funny though how the bigger prize, the icing on the cake, is the presidential election, and all of a sudden, the NDC has shifted to projecting their parliamentary results instead of the presidential, including John Dramani Mahama, who happens to be the candidate. So people would take that as a form of concession. But it's interesting. A lot of sits have flipped and flopped.
The NDC is using flip, the MPP is using flop. So flip, flop, flip.
It's quite interesting how, NPP is performing well in constituencies or in areas that are most dominated by the NDC and vice versa.
NPP won in
Hohoi. Exactly.
Hohoi. Everybody shocked. I've heard I've seen a few people who feel like the absence of J.J. Rawlings is also playing a certain role in the voter region.
If
it's like some people have left their allegiances
campaigning in the voter region, the numbers will be up. Shut up.
Do you know an interesting thing I found out? Someone actually intimated that one of the reasons why the NPP is performing so well, parliamentary-wise, is because of the NPP, is because of Nana Addo's strategic attempt or decision to create more regions. Because if you look at it carefully, most of the regions where the NPP doesn't necessarily perform well in the elections are the regions that were divided. I mean, this is just a theory. I mean, we can just go into it.
Don't think so. I don't think so. The situation is that even some of this thing, Ekumfi, for example, the NPP lost.
They lost.
Yes, they lost there, and Nanado's initiatives were there a lot. And
that's where the
feel,
juice is from. I like the juice.
You like?
I like the juice. The juice is very, very good. But they lost.
And you know, there's an interesting thing about the trend in how they are losing in parliaments and all those things. And myself, I've been wondering what the reason can be. Okay, is it that people have expectations from their members of parliament which they are not getting? Or they have certain expectations from their members of parliament, which actually aren't expectations they are supposed to have of members of parliament. Because Nanado win in certain areas, and the people come and the comments are like, when we voted for him, he did nothing. And all those things. If you ask some people what they meant by nothing, they are talking about roads. Things that are major infrastructure things, jobs of the executive, not the legislature. And then none of them even talk about the municipal assembly and all of those things. And I'm wondering, going into the next administration, we don't know whoever is going to run it because as of now, the results are still undeclared. But going into the next administration, don't we think something needs to be done about that situation where we lose members of parliament, some very brilliant ones, who would have made tremendous contributions in our legislature. We lose them because people expect them to build roads. You know, we need to change. I think
it's
dicey. It's very dicey.
I think it's because of how uneducated our political terrain is, because a lot of people tend to place most of these burdens on the shoulders of the parliament, of the member of parliament. Meanwhile, we have a very decentralized system, and we all know where this district assembly common fund and all those fundings go to.
But how many people?
So if people know exactly, so if people know,
you see, even the education is not necessarily the factor. I am telling you, we can educate more than 80% of this population, but if we still have this system where the president sits in Accra and appoints Kofi to be somewhere in, let's say, Ketu North, or somewhere in Asawase, and run as his representative, as an MC or as a DC and all that. Someone nobody knows. So he never campaigned. He never. Exactly.
Oh, right.
Because at the end of the day, who would you rather go to? The one you went to vote for and gave a mandate, or the one you don't know?
No, that was appointed by someone.
So I think going into the next administration, whoever leads the administration, whether Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo or John Dramani Mahama,
or even Gum miraculously comes out, or Piadonko,
let's make a conscious effort to make sure that people demand responsibilities from those who should fulfill them. Because, do you know, even the parliamentary common fund, the members of parliament, their common fund, doesn't go to the MPs. It goes to the district assembly, and then they have to apply to the district assembly to get it.
I think
do you understand?
Also, in this,
so we
the
need
issue
to change
it. The concern also is, or playing the devil's advocate. The MPs themselves send messages during campaigns. I would construct the roads. I would. They promise to build schools. They promise to health facilities and all of that. So when you promise that to the constituents, when you tell them you would make Medina a better place, you fix the roads, you get a better drainage system and all of that, the constituents also expect you to do that.
To do that.
Exactly. So you don't go promising when you know you can do it.
But I believe some level of blame can be laid at the doorsteps of the members of parliament, because aside being a law-making body, their duty is also to lobby for developmental projects
towards their constituency. To your constituency, you are supposed to lobby to your constituency, but there you are lobbying against a certain municipal chief or district chief executive who wants to contest you in the next primaries.
Wow.
Now, you want him to do things. You want him to do things that will give credit to you. Forget about it. So if we have a situation where the burden of responsibility and the burden of accountability is on the district chief executive, he contests in the election, then everybody knows that the MP is supposed to do his legislative duties. If there are certain bills before parliament which affects their constituents in ways that they don't like, they go to him, they hold the MP accountable. If roads are not fixed, if refuse are not taken care of and all those things, they know the MC accountable.
But wait, guys.
You understand?
Let's play this
vote
forward.
for them.
Let's play this forward a bit, because I think that if we dwell too much on what can get better, we might circle around because there are too many gaps, right? The thing that is on my mind now, me had to think about, okay, if person A wins, what would it mean for young people in terms of policy?
Yeah.
If person B wins, how the thing will look like? Especially me, I think about the whole COVID thing, you know, and how the sitting government sort of approached it, some of the things that they put up. What would it really mean, especially for young people? Say, Charlie, if we switch them or if we maintain them, how does it look like for us? You know?
It's interesting. I think there's been policies from both NDC, MPP, leveraging on the youthful thing, and even with their vice presidential candidate, Jane.
With the whole women
Jane
pushing agenda.
Not only women, she also spoke about youth. And we also have Baumia there also
the
talking about youth, digital, youth.
Yeah.
So I think both sides, I don't think the youth necessarily benefits significantly from any of them.
Yeah.
I think it's a general thing. They don't really put so much in place for the youth. Well, we saw the NAPCO, which is about employment and all of that.
Yeah.
And NDC also had theirs when they were in power.
Yeah.
So I think for the youth thing, it's been more of employment because a lot of the youth are unemployed and they're interested in that particular aspect. You speak to people.
I think to a small subset, that set is looking at the environment that allows them to be able to build businesses and entrepreneurs
so
and what they want to do.
It's all about employment. When you go to constituencies, they tell you we want jobs, we want jobs, we want jobs. So whatever party is in power, the youth keenly expects that there's job creation.
Okay.
Job creation in terms of making a very safe environment for businesses. And there's been talks about reducing interest or on loans
and taxes for
as well
startups.
for startup businesses. So those are the things the youth expect from whichever party that comes to power, because it seems like every party has this youthful message. But we need to see that's more practical than just saying that you are youthful.
But if you think about that, if we push more young people, may they enter, won't it help? Like, if we could get more, how many young people are getting in this time, though?
It's not quite significant.
In Parliament?
Oh, quite a number.
Is it better than last year?
It's sad some of them even fell out. For example, Okoboy fell yesterday.
That was unexpected.
Very unexpected.
Very unexpected for those not in his constituency.
Oh, okay. But for myself, I was expecting it because of the trend that has been
repeating
in that constituency.
Even like you get some prophecy for some.
No, you see, these people have made up their minds to just give you one term.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not.
You go collect one.
Regardless of how you perform, you are leaving.
Everybody
won. It's everybody won. You pay one too.
Why?
You know, if he had won yesterday, I'm sure Shatta would have come to ask him. Only you two.
Everybody why? Why are you doing that? But generally, I think that we've seen a shift in just how much young people are eye open and they are watching everything. It's sad that people, they think, say, you know, young people didn't really come out to vote, especially in the universities and stuff like that. But I feel like in terms of youth engagement, this is probably like a good one in terms of representation.
I think it's been great so far, especially with social media where the youth are. It's been so beautiful where the youth can actually engage you. As usual, the trolls as well. The trolls will come in, definitely.
There is a video of a Kwame with a dog. He wants his money back. She has changed her mind. She won't do again. Man, I won't do again. Give me my money.
It's an interesting character.
We should all be happy about how, you know, youth sensitive these political parties are becoming. Even though we are not there yet, I think we are gradually getting there, because now political parties are realizing that the youth are a very great majority of the voter population. I mean, 35+% signifying the majority. So I think we are getting there. The debate is as to whether youthful participation in politics in terms of voting or youthful participation in politics in terms of securing positions is what will change the tides around. But that should be a debate for another day. But I think generally, slow steps, we will get there.
Let's talk about gender though.
Let's
talk about gender though, because
let's talk about gender though. No, but I want to hear it.
You know, I was saying earlier, some candidates who have won. I confirmed others right now.
Okay.
In Fanchipim, we have Ophelia Kwanzaa, who was wife of the late MP.
Okay.
Who was
Okay.
killed. She has
Is
already
that also
won.
becoming a trend? Though?
It's becoming a trend. The question is, are they living off their husband's legitimate legacy? Or it's a very...
Have you heard people say now wives would want to kill their husband?
So that's the guy. It's yeah. No, I don't think it. It's that. It's,
But
yeah,
I don't think that because you are a wife, you are entitled to the position of your husband when you lose your husband.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It should be about competence.
Yeah.
And I think probably
that word competent. I mean, there's a fresh one. There's a fresh one now. We've just lost His Excellency, the former president.
Yeah.
And his wife is not doing too well.
Well, I think it's not been like that has been the trend since.
Yeah.
since
So even if he was around, they wouldn't have.
Yeah, even if he was around, even if he wasn't around.
What he's trying to say, it's actually refutes that assertion that living off your husband's legacy is a thing.
It's the thing that will get you in. I think
it's actually
no.
Depends on the circumstances.
Exactly.
For example, the issue at Infanchipim, for example, the woman's husband died in an accident. I mean, he was shot. And then the party decides that she should run on that ticket. They didn't hold a new primaries for people to determine
They just
competence and all those things. A similar situation, I think, in Ayawa. And all those things. The party,
because of sympathy votes.
Well, yes, the party.
I think that's
they
legit.
know that if, for instance, she runs as MP, the people in the constituency will be, she just lost her husband. Let's vote for her.
The party
She doesn't have
interested
exactly.
in the number of representation they have. So
yes,
they go for them to make them. But I think that's a trend we should end.
Yeah,
it shouldn't continue. Enough of it.
But when I look at it, too, I think that from a logistic point of view, introducing a new candidate when one is indisposed or cannot be in there, the logistical demand can be tough, right?
Sure? This is MPP and NDC we are talking about.
No, but I mean, still, imagine that what happened at this constituency we were talking about. They had to now market a brand new candidate to the constituency for them to say, oh, this is the one. But if you connect that to the wife and say, oh, this woman has stood by the husband, they have been working. It's quite easy logistically.
Well, that's about electability of the candidate. As to if the candidate is competent enough to...
See, me I tell you, this is somebody's house. I go insult. Look, what's that? If you stop, if your house, don't allow it.
Look, I'll give you this.
No, I don't allow it. It's me, my house, I ban it.
Please, you have dictionary on your phone. You take it and you check.
Electability. What is all that?
Give them the freedom.
What is all that? You know that the election is tight. People's hearts are not beating while you are come to speak big English and confuse all of us.
It's been quite interesting, though. I am not too sure of how the women are doing so far, but over the years we've not seen so many women in Parliament. And
but I think this time there will be a net gain because some of them are falling. Yes. But then
did
the
we see
number
more
of them,
go for?
Yes.
More.
So there will be a net gain of women in Parliament.
Okay.
As compared
I don't know how significant it will be, though, because 2016 was just about 36 women in Parliament.
Some skeptics out there believe that last year or the currently outgoing government has had more representation in Parliament in terms of women. Than any other.
I think even in appointments.
Yes, in appointments. And they're actually saying that going into this election, the most successful gain for our democracy is the running mate of John Mahama running on the ticket of a major political party. For them, it was actually a major
and I think it's, for me, it sends a strong message because, see, I'm very passionate about young people and women especially being able to step up to the plate and say, we too, we can do it, right? So regardless of whatever your affiliation, the fact that we had Jane run on the ticket that she ran for, I think is a big one. I think it's as big as, okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but I think it's as big as Obama running.
We would want to see a woman running herself as president, or
we
would want to see a woman aspiring as from either the NPP or the NDC.
Why is the focus only on the NPP and NDC? We have women running from other.
Because exactly, let's be realistic here.
We've gone there before. We've come back.
If we are talking about women empowerment, shouldn't we also celebrate those gains as well?
We have.
But then let's look at the reality of the parties that matter, NDC and NPP.
Have you seen the point percentage of all the other guys? apart from MPP? And
1 point something so far.
if you put all of them together?
Yes, 1 point something.
It's very low, very, very low. It's very low.
People tell me Ghana is practicing multi-party.
No, we are not.
I don't really
it's
believe.
Not.
It's just for
It's
show.
like that on paper.
Yes.
It looks nice when you write it on
I
paper.
wanted to ask you guys something. What do you make of affirmative action?
Well, I think Ghana has made her own commitment to that. I mean, over the years, you wouldn't have seen a lot of women in government as we have seen right now. We are making...
Do you think it's something we should pass?
The affirmative action bill. Yes, I think I would be entirely for it. It's something we should...
I want to hear your guys' perspective.
So
then
what
I
think-
probably tell you
What
mine.
I think is that Ghana is a typical patriarchal society. So an action like that, a bill like that, typical. I mean, per our culture, women are mostly in, subjugating roles. It's now that Ghana is actually seeing the light.
It's not a cultural thing, though.
It's a culture.
Myself, you see,
it's a cultural thing.
You know, I question how things became that way.
People go hear English right now.
No, the reason why,
let me drop my pizza and listen.
The reason why I question how things become that way is because
you write.
Sure. The reason why I question how things became that way and whether it's something not like I'm blaming the women, but they are allowed to happen or sort of
allowed to happen.
Because
if you come up from here with the
they'll-
catch you,
I know. I mean, Akan society, for example, women play very significant roles.
I think you've spoken about this before.
Yes, before.
Yeah.
In every setting of Akan society, how the society is structured, per our history, and all those things. So how did it happen all of a sudden that in today's society we are saying they've been relegated behind? You understand? Women played very significant roles.
Do you think they victimize themselves?
Well, as you said, if I'm not careful, I won't get out of here.
Please, I beg. This one too, the worry me small. The false information. Since morning, I've had BP back and forth like 18 times.
Why you know that?
Because of some... see human being. See Paddy. See you. And my concern is everybody is manufacturing their own data. Or their own information. I have seen 63, 88, 92. People have done press conferences, declared. Some people I've seen the 2 strong rooms, dancing and worship songs. Social media, we've spoken about this before, but social media and all of these declarations and provisional and confirmed. I've just seen on Twitter just before I put my phone down, there was an image going around of the invitation from the Electoral Commission for people to meet at the conference center. Apparently it's fake. It's fake. And we do not have, for me, that's my concern as a normal young person sitting down at home holding my phone. We don't have any factors that will make our know, say, this thing be fake, this thing be real. So now, what will they do?
I think the EC has put in some measures to check for this information. You call a particular number and then they verify if the information is right. And also, we've had Ghana Facts also do some...
Yeah, I've seen Ghana Facts doing...
But I don't think you can entirely...
Eliminate
false information or even check it, because Ghana Facts wouldn't have everything in their checklist.
Yeah.
So,
guys, let me put this question across. So, within this topic or within the context of social media, do you guys think that in an age of misinformation and false information such as this, do you think that in the build-up to elections, social media should be censored to control
I don't
the
think
issue
so.
of misinformation?
The issue of election and what we should do about that is that we should ensure that right from polling station levels, we build systems that ensure that results go and are projected in a manner that is apparent to all.
Yeah, and transparent.
Exactly. For example, if I'm at polling station A and then they count the results and then the 2 parties, their agents confirm and whatever it is, we should have systems that scan and project it
immediately, instantly. Don't give anybody the chance to concoct their own.
This thing we do that they now have to go to collation centers and all those things. Do you know that it's possible for us to count a vote here right now? And say that candidate you has this, and then you have that. And then when we get to the collation center, what is on the sheet, what's on that pink sheet is different. And that is what will reflect at the national level. And there is no way of checking it. There's no way at all. Problem. So we should have a system that projects results to people right at the polling station so that people, the age of information where social media and all those things, they help in ways where people can take records of what they've seen at their own polling stations. Okay, that practice where you just mention it to them. NDC 24, CPP 25. This now everybody just scatters.
There was a lady who
the
was
rest
counting.
is left
There
with
was a lady who was counting 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm like, which school did you go to?
No.
Who was your math teacher?
I don't think it was intentional.
It was pressure. It was pressure.
It was pressure.
It was pressure.
And, you know, sometimes it's tiring. Well,
Obi bet me up born free 90 and drew 100.
How can you just jump from 90, not even 30 or 20, 40, just straight to 100?
That's what I'm saying.
It's pressure. It's pressure.
It's pressure. I mean,
it's
standing in
pressure.
front of
I'm
people
sure.
counting.
Yes, and they probably would have been at post for like. I mean, people haven't slept in like. I mean, 2 days.
2 days.
Right. So it's possible that. But I was also like, Anna Yabanpa.
You know, Dominic was coming from that. It's possible she was like,
but there's no way it will work. How can you move from 90 to 100? People say,
a lot of people are in front of you.
Oh, there's no way it will work. You know, like for me, that's my concern. Now we're still waiting for the announcement to be made official. Just pure speculation. What happened? We're supposed to be 5 p.m.
5 o'clock now.
It's because of the problem I was talking about. You see, the EC this year did something that was supposed to be saving us time. But in essence, it's rather lengthening the process. The EC wants to collate results from 16 regions instead of 275 constituencies as we have done before. But do you know the implication of that? The implication of that is that people must transport electoral data, information from polling stations to the constituency collation centers. They now gather it there before they send it to regional before it gets to them. But if we had a system like previously, which is even more decentralized, to the very polling station, when we collate,
it moves from there straight.
The system should be very efficient. It moves from there straight. Everyone knows that polling station has this number. It goes.
The that have been raised with regards to that is the issue of hacking.
Digitally, once you go digital,
I watched the report.
1-0 go change everything.
I watched.
It's not a situation where we are going to abandon the manual collation completely. I mean, if we compile the results digitally. And then we know that polling station A has these results, polling station B and all those things. The constituency collation should also be simple. The same mechanism where you scan them forward goes like that. But as of now, the EC should know nationally
that this is what is going on.
So that in the event where the manual collation becomes a problem, or it is the digital,
we have two systems.
We know what checks what.
The thing is that as of now, we don't know, Dominic Adika, maybe before you say your thing, we don't know if the EC has the information, and for some, reasons, whether it's national security, whether it's checks and balances, whether it's confirmations, we don't know whether or not she has it.
But
so,
press conferences held by the two major political parties, especially what we heard from the NDC, is that from the regional coalitions and some regions have not even started as of the time they were having that press conference. So I don't know if they've started now, but if that's the situation, then probably even 7 o'clock we might not have the results. And elections are some way. When we cast the ballots, tensions begin to build up about who is winning
and who's not.
Once they've declared and everyone accepts, tensions go down. But the longer we keep this, especially
the more the tension builds.
Especially from what we are seeing, that it's a very close election.
Yes.
It's a very close election. How close it is makes it even makes it even like more likely to spike.
I totally agree with you on that.
And we need to work
but
on
I'm also of
things.
the opinion that, Charlie, if we're going to go digital, which is what young people are really championing, like, Charlie, we could go digital, we could make this thing. There are some people who even thought we could use blockchain and vote at home. We don't even need to go out. Guy, 1-0. If they add 1-0 like this,
I think it's possible. I think
right?
I think it's possible. It's possible.
We're not saying, and I don't disagree. It's not that it's not possible. Do you know that the last elections from 2016, the US elections, there are still issues in court about Russians interfering. And so even if an ecosystem like the United States, I mean, this is where Facebook is, this is where Silicon Valley. Okay, I'm not saying it, okay. No, so I speak big English with that. In your house is not allowed. So I think that there's a long way to go in terms of making our electoral process truly digital.
I think we can blend it.
I think we can. I agree with Julius to a large extent.
We can blend it a little manual, a little digital.
I don't believe we are ready. Especially with political parties mostly.
So you every day be devil's advocate.
No, it not be so. It not be so. Even with this election where we have, you've seen certain problems being spoken about by most of these communication spokespersons of the parties. Now imagine if we are to misplace the manual system that we are having now with technologically driven systems. People will complain of the elections being rigged. People will complain of manipulation of the results. So
it might become a breeding ground for more contempt. More people will say, "Yeah, I don't agree."
Exactly.
Look,
So I think
we're about to hit moment of truth, right? We will know soon enough who is who where. Before we came online, I had seen that the Electoral Commission's official Twitter page had started announcing the parliamentary results. For I saw Central Region just before we came on. People are preparing. I have seen secret stages being set. I've seen Soloku centers being put in place. You the way you dress, I suspect you already.
Them erect tents then.
If now I know why your man dress. Your man right from here.
Oh no, for questioning colors too, but that be topic for
well, if we look at colors, if it change color, we go start from.
The colors look like the colors that will be painted on the maps or what?
But what do you think the general atmosphere of cities will look like? For instance, Kumasi, if the sitting government should win, Volta, if there's a switch, what do you think will be happening in these places?
Well, you know, Kumasi, MPP is a tradition to them.
The Kumasi jam no be joke jam.
MPP is a tradition. If you go to
the places where NDC got zero.
Yes, at Malaysia.
Yeah,
I think
zero.
Yeah, zero.
That's painful. That will hurt you.
But you know, talking about MPP getting NDC getting zero in some polling stations, there are some interesting outcomes too. Like NDC at last count was getting more than 25% of the votes in Ashanti region, and it keeps going higher. And a similar situation is replicating in the Volta region. So it means that we are having that situation where the balance is coming.
It's swinging across.
The balance is coming.
Now the swinging is everywhere.
And I like it so much.
So look, with the swinging and everything that's happening, please pick your cap. We don't care, and we don't know where you belong to. Where this cheers is for the peace of Ghana, and whoever wins, and the young people being favored when the new person or when the old person is. We hope, and to women as well, and young people, more young people. Cheers.
Yes. More money in the system.
Enjoy your evening.
All right.
It's tasty and delicious.